to your City Commission study session. If you would please turn off or silence your cell phones during the meeting, we would appreciate that. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 6 p.m. and at midnight, and they're available always for your viewing pleasure on YouTube. So tonight we're going to have a study session, and I believe we're starting off with Buffalo Bill Wild West and Military History Festival presentation. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
Come on up. Who's presenting? The two of you? Well,
We're going to do a
hi.
team rotation.
Team rotation? Okay, I love
Yeah.
it. Do you have a PowerPoint or?
No.
Nope, okay. Nancy's on the phone. Hello, Nancy, can you hear?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
hello.
Okay.
Griff won't be with us this evening, so it's just the four of us.
Just the four of us.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Yes.
you want me to begin?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. I am Lisa Weekly, President of the Leavenworth County Historical Society, and I am also the museum's representative on the CVB board. We'd like to thank you for allowing us to present our plans for the 2026 Buffalo Bill Wild West Fest. The Leavenworth County Historical Society, along with our community partners, seek your endorsement and funding of this ambitious endeavor for a community-wide tourism event displaying our community's rich history and also to commemorate the 2026 milestone anniversaries. Coming up, America's 250th anniversary, the Buffalo Bill Cody 180th anniversary, the Lewis and Clark expedition, they're having their 222nd anniversary, Fort Leavenworth 199 anniversary, and of course Leavenworth's 172nd anniversary. Also, with the FIFA World Cup Kansas 2026 coming to our area, this would be the perfect opportunity for Leavenworth to showcase our community. This festival will also meet the city's goals. Bring new visitors to Leavenworth, engage the military members and their families. It will increase participation in events, support our business community, and also enhance our city's reputation. So then, let me turn it over.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can
Can you
you?
hear me now?
Okay. I'm Denise Souza, and I also work at the Leavenworth County Historical Society, and I am also an event planner for the city of Lansing. And I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what our vision is for this history festival next year. It would be a salute to our history, culture, and vibrant spirit of those who came before us. This includes the first Americans who inhabited northeast Kansas prior to settlement, Lewis and Clark, early settlers, pioneers, and many more. Planned activities so far include an event on the city lawn pending approval by the city, and that is going to be featuring Abraham Lincoln. He was here in Leavenworth, as you all know, in 1859 and gave a very famous speech during his campaign. We'll have reenactors portraying the Kansas border war. And we will also have, we're planning on having a military band to celebrate, of course, the 250th anniversary of the United States.
Will the band be at City Hall, or will that be someplace else?
That would be at City Hall. And we're planning on having that earlier in the day, where our goal is to have events throughout the city, not only for transportation and parking purposes, but special interest groups can go to this, and so that's how we're spreading that out. Next would be Living History on the River on North Esplanade Park. That would be with reenactors as well. We have a French fur trader. We have Civil War soldiers, Buffalo soldiers. We visited with them. And also cowboys, pioneers of early Kansas. There will also be folks portrayed. We're looking right now for Buffalo Bill Cody, We have Carrie Nation, we'll need a Wild Bill Hickok, and of course Abraham Lincoln will also have a presence there. Then downtown, we're calling it the Wild West Fair. This is, again, events throughout the city, so we're involving the whole community. And so downtown will offer another vendors, crafters, vendors, food trucks, and then we'll be asking the businesses to have sidewalk sales. At this point, we're not planning on closing off any streets. It's just, we're gonna try this strategically with placements of food trucks. Okay, then we move over also downtown at Gazebo Park, or what used to be Gazebo Park, because there's not a gazebo anywhere, is 3rd and Delaware Street. We're calling that the Little Buckaroo area. And we'll have a petting zoo, face painting, balloon art, and DJ entertainment. We've also been in touch with Operation Wildlife, and that's in the budget that we've provided to all of you. And Alan Collins from the Leavenworth County Artist Association will be speaking shortly about the event that they're planning. Another event is the Kids Corral, and that's going to be at Bob Doherty Park. And we will also promote other organizations' events that are taking place that weekend. So, for an example, if there is a concert down at Haymarket Square, we would promote that as well as the farmers market in the morning. The idea is to have a lot of things going on to attract visitors to our town and enjoy what we have to offer.
So you wouldn't do the concert, you would like partner with like Main Street or?
We would invite them, yes, absolutely. That's right. That's the beauty of this is, as you know, resources, everyone is short of resources. So by having a partner like the Leavenworth County Artist Association, that's something that will benefit them, help their organization, they plan it, and that's going to be a feature of the event.
Got it.
And then the museums, of course, and the attractions, they would schedule their own event, helping raise money for their causes.
For example, for the Historical Society, we have our Buffalo Bill Dinner and Dance. The one currently is coming up on July 12th. We would move it to that date and have it during this event so that we could possibly take advantage of more people within our community.
So you would have that going on the same time as the concert?
Or the weekend
No, it would
before.
be that weekend of it, not at, we would.
Like maybe
probably-
Friday night versus?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't think it would interfere because there's different audiences there. But at least we would include it at that time period just to be part of the festivities.
Got it, okay.
So to let you know, we haven't put the word out because everything's pending approval, but we have reached out to some companies, and we have interest so far. The Pony Express Museum is interested in coming up. Lewis and Clark Trail Foundation, they want to participate in this. We have interest from Company A, 8th Kansas Volunteer Infantry, the Military Collectors Car Club, and also the Grand Army of the Republic. The curator at the Kansas State Historical Society will be here and portray a Civil War soldier and tell about the life of a Civil War soldier. And our goal is to work together in this joint venture and create a truly memorable experience for all.
Hi, I'm Judy Bauer, and I'm also on the Leavenworth County Historical Society Board. And as you can see, we really want to stress the importance of a patriotic event for, in Leavenworth next year during the most important milestone of our country's independence. We'll honor the U.S. military, Fort Leavenworth, and the sacrifices of our veterans and also our current uniformed soldiers. Pending approval, then we can plan to meet with the garrison commander staff at Fort Leavenworth and discuss the involvement of the military and the military families.
We're going to switch, and Jen, you want to come up? And Alan?
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I'm taller. Can y'all hear me? Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Jen Anders from the Leavenworth Lansing Chamber of Commerce. According to FIFA's visitors profiles, 54% of international travelers stay an average of 9 days. 6 of those days are left over from games and are just available for traveling and sightseeing around the communities in which they visit. So if you look at our younger generations, you can see that travel trends are shifting towards authentic experiences. Heritage tourism, which we include festivals. So fortunately, we don't have to look far to see successful heritage festivals in the area because our friends up to the north of us in Atchison, my friend Jill Thorne, the executive director up at the Atchison Chamber, tells me that the Amelia Earhart Festival is their busiest shopping day of the year and has results in the largest economic impact to date, year after year. So like their festival, the idea behind the Wild West Fest is that this wouldn't be isolated just to one area, but rather integrated throughout the commercial district, capitalizing on the World Cup and drawing tourism to our region.
Is theirs, Amelia Earhart Days, kind of like this all throughout the city, do you know?
Yes.
It
It
is.
is. Hello.
Hello.
How are ya? Welcome.
Hi, good evening. I'm Alan Collins. I'm with the Leavenworth County Artists Association. And the LCAA, we're looking forward to the 2026 Buffalo Bill Wild West and Military History Fest. And we're planning to create a new event called the Native American and Western Art Show. The show will be held at the Heritage Center, so we'll be inviting local and out-of-state artists to showcase and sell their art at the event. We hope to rent space, and if we could pull in enough money, we can have a art contest as well. I've talked with the Heritage Center, and we're looking to see if we can bring in a historic Western storyteller and sing the Western songs as well, so that way they can participate and help defer the cost for using their center.
Oh, okay.
So the LCAA, we hope that the city will support this event and the arts of Leavenworth.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. To wrap it up, included in your packet is the projected budget for the Buffalo Bill Wild West Fest. So tonight, we are asking the city to help support and fund this fest from the CVB Tourism Fund, the transient guest tax budget, in the amount of $125,000. So we can ensure that that this event will be well-planned and executed. It'll be a festival that our community can be proud of. And this is not the Buffalo Bill days of prior years, but it is building on that legacy. So if there are any questions in that, we can entertain those. But we would like to thank you for your consideration on this.
It says city staff 14,000. What's that?
That would be the budgeted amount for city staff support.
So we would,
Law enforcement.
like,
Yeah, and it would be
Parks and-
management from Public Works, trash cans, things like that.
So my understanding from, that is the exact number we use to calculate for Camp Leavenworth. So that, the amount of staff involvement may or may not be the same for this event.
yeah.
Well,
And
Camp
what is-
Leavenworth is pretty much all contained in one place. Yeah.
Correct.
This is spread out all over the place.
Yeah, I do love that idea that you're displaying the entire community.
Our goal is to be a community event, to include the whole community, and to have as many members of the community participate.
So this is a one-day event?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm looking at marketing, $30,000 for, that seems high to me. And you're only putting in for digital, is it?
No, that would be promotion, that 30,000 is promotional for outside visitors. It would be the Kansas City area.
Like, what are you gonna do with that 30,000? Like, tell me your marketing.
Oh, the type of,
Yeah.
the type of advertising? You want to weigh in on that?
Sure, it would be, of course, digital print
Oh, sorry Denise, they can't hear you out in YouTube land.
We do not have, unfortunately, a handout for you tonight of a specific breakdown of the different parts of advertising, but it would be digital marketing, well-placed marketing, travel, for an example, KC Parents Magazine.
Okay.
Other types of travel magazines to draw, and a lot of digital.
Okay.
But we can provide a break, we would break, everything will be transparent, every expense, every penny on where that money's going. And I hope we will have you all join us for those decisions as we go forward.
So we'll know this before we give you the $125,000.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a large part of that budget, as you see, is for city staffing, the overtime. And the other large part
What is the promotional?
is the promotional,
Yeah,
yes.
That
Yeah.
she's already inquired about.
Yes, Nancy, go ahead.
Yes, I didn't understand. I'm looking at the packet here, and on the budget, I saw all the expenses, but I didn't see the income. The income, what are you expecting from the city?
We're asking for 125
What
in
other-
funding.
What other avenues do you have for fundraising for this?
Well, we are going to be seeking additional sponsorship. For an example, we've put a
How much are you
pat,
asking from the city? I didn't hear that before.
125,000.
Oh, I see. So the whole thing here is, okay, never mind.
Yeah, that's the
All right.
bottom line budget amount there.
That's a lot.
So you're gonna go you're gonna go do fundraising
In addition.
somewhere else.
in addition.
So you expect it to cost more than $125,000 then?
If we were to receive additional funding, that would help us advertise more.
Any additional funding is gonna go into advertising?
Correct, because Kansas City is
But it looks like this is your budget, 125,000, you're asking the city for 125,000. I just didn't understand that. Okay,
Yes, yes, Nancy, you've got it correct.
I hear you. Okay. All right, that's all I have.
So you're gonna try to attract all these people that came here for soccer. How are you gonna connect soccer to Leavenworth history?
Actually, they'll come for the soccer, and that in itself, what we're doing is providing them additional entertainment. Usually, the average guest, visitor here is 9-10 days, maybe more than that. Soccer is not playing there every day, so they're going to look for other outside entertainment. And in the Kansas City area, Lawrence, all the communities are having events and gearing up for this. And we want Leavenworth also to be one of those communities, to be a part of this, to take advantage of that audience coming here. When people come for the racetrack, they also come to Leavenworth when they're not at the racetrack and become a tourist here and visit our community. We have them visit the Carroll Mansion quite often.
So I wanted to talk about heritage tourism a little bit, especially with the international market. They love everything, they really love the Old West and really learning about that Old West that's been known for many, many years. But the global heritage market is growing, and so is the United States market. The market has seen remarkable growth over recent years, driven by the rising interest in cultural preservation, which we have, and the increased inclination among travelers to connect with history and traditions. We're not a big city here, but what we have is our history. And we feel like we really are, we have a huge opportunity to showcase this wonderful
And you-
history.
Yeah, and you can't really forget Fort Leavenworth, too. That also is a major draw, and what draws people there is the history of Fort Leavenworth, the military history there, which is a unique, dynamic visitor all in himself.
Have you checked your dates with the games?
We are falling on a date of the matches.
So there's
That
no
is
match
true.
that day? Oh, there is a
No,
match
there
that
is a match that day. However, when we ask for stats, we understand that these folks also bring families. They bring friends. Some of those visitors do not go to the matches. So
Now say that again, they're here for soccer.
they're
but
here
not-
for soccer, but a lot of them are here as fans. They're not buying tickets to go to the matches.
Okay, so if the game's on,
They can watch it they can watch it anywhere on TV.
Okay.
But they're looking for other things to do. They have the ones that are here, the amount of folks that are here that are paying for tickets and going to the matches, they also have 6 days.
but it's not a home game. It's not one that's at Arrowhead at the same time, is it?
It is. They haven't announced their time yet.
Oh,
Yeah, that's gonna be the, yeah. That'd be the big.
But that's
concern.
600,000 people coming into Kansas City with an average stay of about 9 days.
Yeah, we will get people here.
And the other cities around us have been, are planning.
no,
for
I just want to say I'm
overflow.
for this. I'm very excited about this.
But-
I'm just concerned about if there's an Arrowhead game at the same time as the festival,
Mm-hmm.
will we get enough people here? Because if it's,
We hope, and we've talked to hotels here, to have a room block.
I don't
To
want people
have
to say,
folks
what were
stay.
they thinking? They planned it the same day as the Arrowhead game. But I know you're laying that stuff out, but I just want to make sure that. Well, true. I just want to make sure we still get people here, even though there's the Arrowhead game, because I know those are going to be a big deal. And we set in stone with the 27th?
Well, when we talked to the city earlier, they said the weekend before is Juneteenth weekend celebration, so employees are off, if I'm not mistaken. The following week, weekend would be the Independence Day weekend, when there's a lot of competition across this whole region on Independence Day events, celebrations. And then the weekend before that is just about when they're all, many of them are arriving. We didn't want to plan it early in the month and miss the opportunity for those folks.
Right.
Yes.
Opposed to having Friday night?
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah,
Are you opposed to having?
the whole weekend?
No, the more involvement we have from the community that puts on multiple events, we can spread this out over 3-4 days. And we do expect we will have more participation from organizations.
Because you don't know what time the game is,
Yeah,
obviously,
no.
yet.
They
And
have
you
not
don't know-
announced it.
Yeah,
And you don't know what countries are playing.
right,
Correct.
yeah,
We don't even know what countries are gonna be here to play.
Right, we don't even know.
yeah.
Yeah, so I do support the idea, and that's mine. I would love to see this spread out throughout that.
Okay.
Because I think that'd be a great opportunity to be able to get people to actually.
All
come,
weekend.
because
Well,
they wait
and-
I
one
agree.
day,
I agree.
And that's why we're coming now, and we even feel that we're a little bit behind in the planning on this, but, because we are in a short window, because so many communities have already started to plan. If you do approve this, as soon as you could possibly let us know, then we can really get down into it and, really get going and planning this, and,
And we want the city's involvement, for
yeah,
sure.
we do.
How many volunteers are you expecting to help with this?
Okay, so at the events that we have so far, our board members we have had an abundance of folks come to us and say, we want to be helping during this event. So our board members, okay, of course, Jen in the chamber, Jason Clare, as you know, he is wanting to oversee the the Civil War reenactors. Shannon Toms Gardner, who's planned history festivals in the past, she wants to oversee the Native American part of this. So we will have board members and our volunteers. We have a great volunteer group that are very dependable, and we will have schedules for all parts of this festival. We will have command centers, one command center at North Esplanade Park, one command center down at Bob Doherty Park. That will be manned with various board members and volunteers from the organizations. Yeah.
So can you give me a number?
No,
40?
yeah, and then,
40 volunteers is all,
Yes.
that's all you're gonna need?
no,
No,
no.
not as this grows, not as this
Thank you.
grows.
Yeah,
And
How many
as
do you-
As we have specific events, those pique people's interest, and then they join on. So
Okay.
it's,
I mean,
Yes.
and we also have the option, of reaching out to the service organizations.
Yeah, we have not done that yet.
Yeah, so there is more resources to tap into.
Okay, so just looking at the events that you've already got highlighted here.
We're
about how
very
many-
confident.
ab-
With 40, right, I think that's.
That'll cover all the ones you've got now,
That's correct.
okay? One other thing. How are you gonna guarantee the weather?
We're not.
And we're not, and you can't ever run an outdoor event.
What's your plan then?
The stage will be covered. The stage that we're rented will be covered for the entertainment and the equipment. There will be a tent rented on North Esplanade Park area with straw bales for seating in case people have to come in there and we're in between a downpour.
You're gonna get rained on possibly.
I mean, that's always a possibility with an outdoor event.
That's an expensive rain. It's a very expensive rain.
I'd say no more than you risk for Camp Leavenworth.
And you're gonna get vendors, food trucks, things like that? Have you already arranged for them?
Not yet. I don't want to get on their calendars yet until we have, we are tentative on their calendars, but I don't want to confirm them until we have a specific date.
I'm willing
I
to
don't think
bet that
that's
a lot of
right.
them have already got their calendar
What,
filled.
she's got
The ones I've got.
she's got
I have
verbal.
a lot of contacts. We're not gonna be short on
Okay.
food trucks.
I heard you say verbal. The verbal
I,
contract isn't
well,
worth
no,
what
and
it's.
I shouldn't speak for her. I'm saying she has, contacted
Yeah.
and talked with them and,
Right, I don't want to go to contract on a date
Sure, until you know the right date.
because these are relationships I already have. They're already at my other events.
And you don't want to ruin that. If you don't get the 125, what happens? If you get 50, can you still put on the event? We just have to get more sponsors?
We would have to re-examine the events. There's a possibility we'd have to cut back. But we will be grateful for whatever can come out of the CVB reserves.
And how soon do you need an answer? I know you would love one
Yes.
tonight.
Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, but I know we got one commissioner who's not present, and,
Right.
yeah, so
Right.
just definitely want to be able to make sure.
I know
we
it's
have a
budget
discussion.
season,
Yeah.
and I
When's our
know.
final budget meeting?
so our
it has to be a-
session is June 14th.
June 14th?
Or July 14th.
Oh, July 14th.
Did I get already
Yes.
passed? I missed it?
Yeah,
We have to notify the county by mid-August of whether or not we're going to exceed revenue neutral, so that would ultimately be kind of the final decision on spending.
Nancy, do you have any other
That's the
questions?
best we can promise as far as timeline.
Oh, wait. Go ahead. What'd you say, Ed?
I said, that's
No,
the
I'm
best.
good.
Go ahead, Nancy.
She said she's good. What were you
No,
saying?
I don't have any more.
Okay.
That, I was saying that's the best we can do on as far as a timeline goes then,
Okay,
because the budget won't be finally passed until
we
then.
understand.
That's
We
why we're here
completely
now.
understand.
And you will allow no political sponsorships, is that correct?
That is correct.
Alcohol? Yes or no?
That.
You know, do you want to ask for it or permit it or?
Okay, so the way we have structured this was not to have any alcohol in the area of, let's say, living history, part of it on North Esplanade. We do not, we want this to be walkable, a walkable
And
event.
not in the children's area.
Right.
Yeah.
We want this to be family-friendly. We want this to be walkable. The way it's been structured is you could park downtown Leavenworth. You can walk to the Heritage Center. You can get on North Esplanade, South Esplanade with events down there by the Carousel Museum. Keep heading
North to Doherty Park.
Correct. And it's very, very walkable. So we don't want it fenced off. We feel that it just would give it more of a community feel, an inclusive feel.
And you don't want streets shut down?
Not
No.
at this time,
Really?
no.
Because that would hamper, activity into the businesses.
We've sort of had a mixed input on that.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like that you asked, though. That's good.
Yep.
Okay. Any further questions?
Yeah, I would just love to see it spread out throughout the weekend.
Yeah,
Love the
yeah.
idea, love the way that you spread it throughout the community. Just love to see it spread it out.
Yeah. I like it, too. I love the idea.
And thank you all for stepping up to
Okay,
the plate.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
You
for
are
coming.
welcome.
Thanks for so many people. I love that you brought so many different organizations with
Yeah.
you, because that shows me that you have buy-in, and so that's important.
We certainly do, and I think there's going to be much, much more. And I hope that the next time we come to you, we can say, Mr. Mingula, we have 100 volunteers confirmed.
That'd be great. Before you go, just one thing. After you do this in 2026, what do you plan?
My opinion is this is a standalone one-time event due to the anniversaries, the significant anniversaries. We know the city loves Camp Leavenworth. This is not to replace Camp Leavenworth moving forward. This is a special event to honor the history of our country, the state, this community, and the military. And I think we have it all here.
And we're
You've
just,
written all the boxes.
I was
yeah,
about to
we're
say,
just,
yeah.
Hitting all the
yeah, we're
boxes.
just,
I mean,
yeah,
this message.
It is
Yeah.
who we are.
yeah.
It is who we are.
And,
Are you
and we
looking at
just,
having a parade?
When we're going to visit, Judy and I are going to visit with the Garrison's office and the PAO, Mr. Gibson, and visit a little bit about that. What we also want to ask them is to have a military vehicle demonstration. Sorry, not demonstration.
Display.
A display.
Something,
You don't need to shoot a bunch of things.
I won't do that.
I saw that you have 600 here for shuttle, but you might want to think about other ways to get people,
Absolutely.
like
Council
the,
on Aging.
well, and I know Camp Leavenworth are looking at the little bicycle,
That'd be fun.
little, what are they called? I call rickshaws.
the tricycles, the little tricycles?
Pedicab, thank you.
Oh,
Pedicabs, to move people
That's, oh,
around.
that's a new name for me.
Or something, because, for some people, that's kind of far to walk,
For
you know.
For some people, that is correct.
Would be great. Horse-drawn carriages would be.
Or horse, or like wagons, or,
Wagons, yeah.
We have discussed, I have a vendor that has us on their calendar tentatively for covered wagon rides throughout downtown. And we also have entertainment tentatively on their calendars.
TBD.
To BD, yeah.
Entertainment on the wagon, take the cover off it,
Sure,
have them roll around.
okay.
I mean, I kept trying to tell them to do the outhouse races all the way down from one side to the other, but they were.
No,
Oh, this
no,
community loves that.
They
I
do
wasn't
outhouse.
living here then. I
Love
wasn't
the
living here
outhouse
then.
races.
no, but yeah.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate you so much.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
presentation
Appreciate it.
and for the hard work that you've already put into it. All right, solid waste discussion and presentation.
So Trevor is actually going to be presenting this to you all. He has worked very hard over the last couple of weeks to, you come on up, Trevor.
Come on up, Trevor.
He's been doing this work in the background. Brian is here as well to answer questions, and I'm here as well to answer questions. Trevor has coordinated, this has kind of been a joint effort of him, Penny, myself, Brian, and Roberta. So a lot of the information that you have here today has been a coordination of all of us that Trevor has just compiled, and he will be presenting that to you. Just a quick reminder, this is largely a result of requests from the five of you. Last time we discussed about it, you guys wanted a little more information, a little more data, so I think Trevor did a good job of bringing that to you. Apologies in advance if it's a little data heavy, but we tried to be as comprehensive as we could on this to answer any questions you have. As I turn it over to Trevor, just again wanted to point out, we did not present the kind of option zero, as Penny called it today, of not doing anything. That is obviously an option for all of you, is to keep it as a status quo. We feel you all have relayed to us that you receive a number of complaints about this service as it stands. We have a significant amount of frustration internally operating it as it stands. So we are coming from the shared consensus that at least something needs to change. Now, the options that Trevor will present to you provide a wide range of what that may mean, so to give you guys some options. Just wanted to kind of set the stage for you all. Turn it over to Trevor here, but again, Brian and I are also here for questions and answers and all that too. So, Trevor?
Hi, Trevor.
Hey.
Welcome.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this to you. So yeah, really, basically, Scott kind of covered it all right now, but we're going to be covering the 4 different options that were presented to you in the staff report, and really what we're hoping to get out of it is kind of a consensus on what direction you all see fit to move forward for the future operations of the city's solid waste. So I want to give a special thanks to Brian and Roberta. They both helped me so much throughout this. What I'm going to present is probably around a month's worth of data collection and different conversations with staff and externally to other cities to see how they kind of operated throughout their operations, but I'll get to it. So basically what this will cover is our current service model and how that operates. We're going to go over some of the key challenges that we face in our operations, and then we'll cover the 4 service models, giving a list of both pros and cons, and then we will ultimately hopefully get some feedback and see what you guys think is fit. So right now, our collection crews operate Monday through Friday. We're staffed with 11 employees, and we have 6 collection trucks. It's important to note, usually out of those 6, only 4 are able to operate at one time because there's a lot of maintenance involved in it. They experience a lot of wear and tear just due to the nature of the job and a lot of stop and go traffic. We serve just under 10,000 households total at a rate of $19.31 a month. Right now, just to kind of keep... Go ahead, Nancy.
Can you speak up a little bit, Trevor? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
She's probably listening.
Hopefully,
the microphone's not going to help you. You're supposed to talk louder.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'll try to talk louder.
There you go.
So yeah, we serve at about a $19.31 a month rate. With that, we have had to contract third-party collection services from time to time just to help to keep operations smooth for residents here. And with that, our refuse is currently hauled to Waste Management in Shawnee. Our collection drivers make about 4 to 5 trips a day on average, and we will move on. That kind of brings us to our next big issue, which is staffing shortages and high turnover. I think, given the nature of this job, there's a lot of turnover and it's hard to recruit people, right? So we're also experiencing a lot of maintenance needs within our collection fleet. The vehicles, like I said earlier, experience a lot of wear and tear. With the long hauls, there's a lot of overtime costs involved just because it adds a lot of operational hours to the day-to-day collection. There's some limited flexibility in our growth given the staffing shortages and, again, the dependency on temporary vendors. So our hauling limitations can kind of be displayed here through this visual. This is a 40-mile radius of the different transfer stations and landfills from Leavenworth. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of them. Like I said earlier, we're hauling to Shawnee about 4 to 5 times a day, and although it may be a 30-mile trip one way, we're spending about 2.5 to 3 hours at the landfill, just waiting in line and waiting to tip the waste off. So ultimately, this kind of leads to reduced crew availability and collection service. But I think the bigger issue here really is that Waste Management has informed the city that they have the right to basically cut us off at any time. And given that we're not in Johnson County, it's kind of unpredictable, right? So a Mark study showed that the Johnson County landfill was going to be filled up by 2037, and that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for how long can we stay here just keeping operations growing. So with that, we will move on to,
How come,
sorry.
so we take it right to the dump, we don't take it to the transfer station?
At this time, that is correct.
Okay.
So we keep one truck back out of all the trucks that are in operation, and when they go and fill that truck up, and then when it gets full, they take it to the dump, and then they bring it back.
That's a whole lot of trips.
Yes.
It's a whole lot of trips, and I think important to point out, there's the Leavenworth County transfer station right there, but we haven't used them for a while because their rates are much higher. So to kind of put it into perspective, it's actually more expensive for us to just go to Leavenworth County, and there's still longer wait times for our fleet to tip there versus going all the way to Shawnee.
I saw Atchison had 2 transfer stations. Have we thought about looking into Atchison's transfer station?
So, as far as I know, I think Atchison has a countywide tax to where it's just Atchison County
Okay.
that's available to tip there. So their residents pay tax, and then, I don't
Only
know
for
if their
them.
cities do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's private, but kind of getting into that, looking at some of the potential long-term solutions to everything. In the middle, I kind of laid out what kept going through my mind as I was researching this and having conversations with staff. They're not necessarily ranked in any certain order, it's just what I put on there, but I also have the options listed out. So the first one would be to keep collection as is, but we would have to upgrade it really to keep services to a higher quality. The second would be to build a consolidation station, and the third one to build a city-operated transfer station, and the fourth to just contracting waste management entirely.
Can you pause real quick there, Trevor?
Sure.
And explain to them the difference between a consolidation station and a transfer station?
Yeah, so the difference there, a consolidation station basically, or consolidation site, staging site, it wouldn't be publicly accessed. It would just be city access only. So with that option, only the city would be allowed to take household waste there. And with the transfer station, there would be a revenue line to where residents or different waste collection companies could tip their waste. And that's really the main difference, besides permitting and other KDHE requirements.
Okay.
So a consolidation station would exclusively be for the city to place its trash and then eventually take it somewhere else that the city collects. A transfer station would allow other people to come and dump for a fee. And as Trevor will explain, obviously the price breakdown there, but a transfer station costs more to run because it requires more staff, all of that, so.
Right. And recycling, so would we move both if we did consolidation and our city operated transportation, would we move our services from where they are, like recycling and all that, to both of those?
We are currently making that assumption, yes, that under these numbers, that assumption is made, yes.
So the community could still drop their recycling off at the consolidation station?
Presumably, yes.
And then with option 3, if we did transfer station, would we be in direct competition with Leavenworth County?
Yep.
We would.
Okay. Not that trash is a competition. Okay.
All right, so to break down option 1, this would retain our collection service as is. It would still be city staffed, city operated. Really what we would need to provide better service would be to add 3 additional staff members and 2 collection trucks. So there would be 8 total. With that, with this assumption, I guess, that was projected into the first option cost in the spreadsheet was that we would still be tipping at Shawnee for as long as we can. And also,
Do we
sorry.
tip at Shawnee or do we tip at Ham?
We tip at Shawnee. We are,
currently.
in some of these models, we propose moving to Hams.
Oh, okay.
And as Trevor mentioned, someday Shawnee will be close to us without our
Okay.
say in it.
And so with that, it would reduce our current workload, assuming that we could staff these positions. This would come at an estimated operational cost of about $2.7 million. That would increase our monthly rate, assumedly about $3. So it's basically,
If we got new collection trucks, could it be the ones where the arm comes out and grabs the trash truck so that it would lower our staff?
I'm getting a nod from Brian.
Yes?
It could.
Okay. All right.
So here I've kind of just laid out the pros and cons of this option. It's basically just an internal investment. So it would have very minimal impact on residents apart from a minimal cost increase, right? But really, like, as far as collection staff, it would help to ease the day-to-day pressures, and it would hopefully help to allow us to maintain our routes better, and it'd be pretty straightforward to implement so long as we could staff it. Sure.
When's the last time we increased the fees?
This last year.
Last year.
Was it just
Yeah.
last year? Yeah. Okay.
Answer, in case you didn't catch that, Nancy, Commissioner Hingiel asked when the last time we raised the fees was, and it was last year.
Did we get a bunch of complaints?
Thank you.
No more than we usually get.
What's the average salary for a waste collector?
It was on there, it was like,
Average salary,
did you have that on there? I thought I saw it.
See it.
Maybe I didn't see it.
Looks like $62,000.
62,000, okay.
Oh, but that's 3 of them, so
Oh.
divide that by 3.
By that by
Yeah,
3, okay.
so,
I might change careers.
so, looks like maybe a little under 20, or a little over 20,000. that changed a little bit, I apologize.
And again, too, like this option, we would assume would decrease over time, because there would be more staff to help out with the day-to-day collection services, right? So maybe, I guess, I don't want to assume that, but what's shifting from overtime might be put into labor, right? So I thought the most important thing to point out in this one was that this solves kind of the issue we're facing today with collection. It doesn't necessarily solve our long-term operations and what might happen long-term with Johnson County's landfill. So moving on to the second option, the consolidation station. And this one I'm gonna have to read a little bit off of because KDHE got back to me a little late. So basically, as we explained earlier, this would just be a site for our collectors right now to tip off of, and we would be able to consolidate the waste there, and it would eliminate the need for us to have to make several long trips, because there would be more compiled and we could just make 2 to 3. So as I've read, I'm not a lawyer, but this type of operation does appear to be allowed without full transfer station permitting. So some of the guidelines or conditions that have to be met are that waste can't be stored for more than 48 hours and it can only be collected by city staff. It must be kept clean and screened in from public view, and that it must comply with stormwater and surface requirements, which we would hope for any building anyway, right? But with that said, we do own the land that we would propose it be built at, which is off Gilman Road. It's not zoned anywhere, and I do want to say, because it is in Lansing, it's its own little island, we would want to be sure to, partner with them and make sure that we're kind of in bounds to do that in agreement. But yeah, from a regulatory standpoint, it appears to be fairly clear. Instead of a whole permitting process, it sounds like it could be more of a notification, so that might eliminate a lot of timeline. So with this option, the estimated capital cost would be about $1.29 million to construct the place. And that includes the equipment that would be required to build it. In the operating cost that we estimated, that does include facility maintenance and vehicle maintenance, and we would project that that rate would be at about $22.74 a month for residents. So kinda I went into the pros and cons of it a little bit. It would cut our daily long haul trips in about half. With this option, we would only need to staff one additional crew member, which would be a Class A CDL driver. Currently, our collection fleet doesn't require Class A. I'm not sure which class it is, but Brian might be able to answer that. It's not Class A. So it would save a significant amount of time on fuel and overtime just because we would haul the waste, load it up as much as we can and take it. It would improve the operations of our collection fleet because they would be able to stay on route. That said, it would also offer some kind of flexibility to our services. If there was some kind of severe weather event, for example, we would be able to store it there for 48 hours and then take it the next day if roads were cleared or whatnot. So the cons, it would require some upfront capital outlay. It adds a new debt service, which is included in the rate that was proposed. Again, it might be difficult to find a Class A CDL driver, and it still does come with a rate increase. So So the waste transfer station option, it would involve building a city-owned and operated transfer station. With that, it would require 6 new staff members, one of them being part-time. We assumed in this projection that it would replace the brush site and the recycling center. It wouldn't necessarily have to, but that was the projection that we based it off of, just so it was all consolidated. With this, it would still be collected as normal and then transferred there similarly to the consolidation option. Again, we assumed it would go to Hams instead of Shawnee. I guess I should make it clear too, like, we could still stay with Shawnee as long as it's allowed, but it gives us more flexibility with either of these two options. So with this option, it has an estimated capital cost of about $4.5 million. That's based off of an estimate we received last year, and then we increased it by 12% for inflation. The operating cost, we estimated would be around $4 million, but this is very subject to change due to the revenue line that would be added in here from external tipping fees. So if those external tipping fees were increased, or we had more than we projected, residential rates could go down, or vice versa. So if we collected less revenue than we projected, rates would probably have to go up just to keep this running.
Could we have curbside recycling with this?
That's something we could definitely look into. I think at one point, the waste committee had recommended against that, but we could definitely look into that.
It would certainly, I mean, it would raise the cost significantly if that's, I mean, we could not provide recycling with this cost.
Well, we can talk about it in a minute, but I was looking at the cost of what Lansing pays, and that includes recycling,
Right.
curbside. So, I mean, something definitely to look into.
Yeah, we can do that. So this would be the most expensive projected option. We got most of these numbers from Hutchinson and Emporia's transfer stations that they operate. We kind of assumed we would be somewhere in the middle of that in terms of revenues and such, and in terms of staffing and what went into those facilities, but we estimated that this would probably bring rates up to around $25 a month.
If we decided to go with option 3, option 2 for the consolidation station, I like the name of that, consolidation station. Could we, I mean, not saying that'd be smart to do, but if we found out later down the road, we'll have it built, can you turn that into a transfer station?
I
Yeah,
believe so.
Okay.
If it was equipped right.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, I guess, but,
so I mean, yeah, it's our site, our property,
You can do what you
theoretically, you
want.
can do what you want with it. The only thing I would add is there would at least be some infrastructure work done for the option 2 that may need to be replaced if you do option 3, if that makes sense. So you may be to some extent, wasting money, if that makes
right,
sense.
that's what I was thinking about.
But it depends on how far down the future you go. Now, maybe if you do it 15, 20 years in the future, then that's, okay, well, we were ready to upgrade anyways. But if you change the course within a couple of years, then it may not make sense.
Well, I was thinking in the future, but.
Yeah.
Do you think we would make, and I guess there's no way to tell, but do you think we would make money off from outside sources? A good revenue
I
stream?
think, as you were kind of saying about like competing with the county, I think we could, depending on the rate. I don't have a list of who all tips at the county right now, but I'm sure I could probably get one.
Well, I just always hear the lines are really long, and
Right,
If the, well, so.
that might help them with their
Sure.
lines too.
So I mean,
exactly.
So, we had that joint meeting with the county commission a few weeks ago, and you heard the county manager, Mark Lawfrey, state that their rates are based on breaking even. So, assuming those numbers are correct, and they do in fact break even, which I have no reason to believe they aren't, then they do not generate a profit off of that facility. They collect just enough to break even. So, I would not want to, go so far as to say this would be a money-making venture, but it is possible that we could collect enough to break even if the county does as well. So, that is certainly a possibility, but again, I wouldn't want to sit there and guarantee that either.
Or are you basing this $25, what is it, 25.61 off breaking even, I hope?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, because if we could lower that and have a trust, that would be,
So that's a good point, Mayor. We base that monthly fee off of breaking even. If we do end up making more than expected on dumping fees, then you could theoretically lower that fee, but I wouldn't want to start with that assumption.
right, for sure, okay.
So yes, with this, I put it on here, but I don't know that I put it on the second option. This would eliminate our dependency on the county landfill, which I believe in 2024, we spent around $137,000 just tipping there. So of course that doesn't necessarily totally equate. You have to account for the fact that I think it's around $34 almost a ton to tip at Waste Management. So it's about half as much, and again, that's where that cost savings for us to go out to Shawnee comes from. But this would also reduce the number of long hauls because it would be right there, same as option 2. Again, it would reduce our reliance on overtime, and it would improve our services because collection crew would be able to collect without having to make those trips. It would increase possibly our resident drop-off capacity, which could be included in the revenue line. When I was looking at Hutchinson, they did not charge their residents as long as they were able to provide an address or a license with their address on it. So that would also be another thing to consider. It was mostly outside waste coming in. The cons of this, I think most importantly, would be staffing it. It would add 6 crew members, and we're already struggling to fill positions as it stands. So that would increase our labor costs if we were able to staff it, which again could kind of offset the overtime costs, but it has the largest capital outlay of the options. If we were to consolidate the brush site and recycling center, which is what we assumed in this projection, it would increase the distance for residents because it would be on the Gilman Road site.
Yeah, I can see people complaining, going all the way out there to drop
Yeah.
off their recycling.
And we can look into that too if it's requested. That's just how we made the projection.
But if we offered curbside recycling,
Right.
You really don't like going to the recycling center, do you?
well, I just feel like we're the only city that doesn't do curbside recycling. I mean, I'm sure we're not the only city, that's a big generalization, but around us, we are.
I'd
We
wanna
are one
know-
of the few cities that still operates solid waste
On our
collection
own.
though.
Yeah, we also, free brush drop off, we
Sure.
have,
And we-
free weekend
Will
drop
we still
off, free
keep
First
large
Fridays.
pickups for both of all these options?
So for options 2 and 3, we would recommend adding a 7th truck instead of 8 trucks total. So we would go from 6 to 7. But for option 1, it would be 8.
But for large item pickup, yes,
still have
we
that.
make the assumption that the service itself remains the same.
Okay. Because I think that's a nice service that we do.
So that, ooh.
Flying
Too
through.
far. So option 4 would be to fully contract our waste collection service as it is. This would mean that a private hauler would take over, and they would basically make all of the day-to-day calls. They would manage crews, routes, everything as stands. We would not recommend doing an open bidding process because that just kind of adds to the wear and tear on streets, and it can create a lot of different traffic from both ways or more than one collection truck on a street at a time.
So by open bidding process, he means the property owner would be responsible for contracting their trash service individually?
Oh, no.
So, yeah, again, we're not recommending that, we're just saying that it is an option.
I was surprised, but a lot of cities actually do that. Yeah. It turns out to be an issue a lot of the time. So we would probably do an RFP where some company would come to us and we would kind of set the terms of what's laid out in the contract. That would be whatever services they might offer, whether it's yard waste, or brush. It might include recycling. It's kind of up to whatever we lay out. And so ultimately, this would just eliminate the city's role in staffing and filling those kind of oversight roles, but we would ultimately still oversee the contract and manage that.
But if someone have a complaint about trash, they would just call the provider, not us anymore?
They should call the provider, but, I've worked in cities where we did this, and the city still took plenty of complaints.
And that's because we're overseeing the contract.
Yeah, and right, wrong, or indifferent, residents view trash as the city's as a service that the city should provide, so if they are not happy with that, they're likely going to call the city, regardless of who's actually responsible for it. Now, if the service is better, then you're gonna get fewer complaints. But, in my experience, this would not reduce the number of calls that the city would theoretically get, or that the city commissioners may theoretically get.
So would any of these options reduce those costs?
Well, our hope is in theory that the first three options would do that. Now, we've, as far as I know, the last few months, you all probably have, I don't think you've received many complaints because we've been lucky enough to be fully staffed. And we haven't had any severe weather events that have prevented our guys from getting out there. So, in theory, as designed, our service right now works, right? But the problem is if we run into any hiccups at all, it gets a backlog, so.
And then if we went with fully contracted services, where would our employees go? Can we retain them someplace else within the city?
That is it, that's a good question, we don't know. That would be up to the service provider. Now, if they're a local, say, company that would need to hire the additional staff to cover that, they may be happy to take on those employees, but if we hire a contractor to do this work, ultimately, it's they're responsible to provide staffing, and the city would no longer need that staff.
Well, that's a concern, because I would hate for, several of our employees are here tonight, or
Yep.
they're good employees.
I want to make it clear that
Yeah.
we are not recommending this option. We just want to bring it
Okay.
to the table. I don't want to make it sound like we're sitting here recommending that we remove staff. That's not what
Right,
we're
no,
recommending.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't, no.
Yeah.
I'm just asking if we could find a home for them somewhere. If we-
We could try our best, but, ultimately, at the end of the day, if you pick this option, the city would not need that staff anymore.
Okay, that's good to know.
And another important note with this one too is that the City Solid Waste Citizen Advisory Board did not recommend contracting waste whenever that was all convened. So that's just another thing to consider here. Kind of based off of the estimated monthly rate. It's a little hard to pick from. I based it off of mostly what nearby communities were paying, and I would assume we would expect it to increase to about $23 or $25 a month.
I like this checklist. It's nice.
Yeah. So here, this one kind of doubles as the pros and cons list.
Right.
I won't get into it too much, I feel like we already kind of did. You can see the trade-offs with both, I hope. I think the biggest ease would be not having the administrative burden. But it would also take a big hit to the city. This is one of our largest public-facing services, right? So not having that anymore could create a lot of confusion, and I would assume we would still get a lot of resident calls if anything were to go wrong.
And not to mention, with 50% rental here in the city and annual turnover of a new, armed forces that come to town, I think that would create a lot of confusion as well. So,
Why, under option 3, don't you know if it reduces overtime and personal costs? Or personnel, not personal. Because the transfer station would be so much bigger and.
It would be hard to recruit for, we think, because it would add 6 staff members, and we already struggle to recruit and retain staff as it is.
So I was once he was done, I was gonna wrap up with a couple of key points that just to make, but one of those is all of these options, at least 1, 2, and 3 that we keep internal, make the assumption of being fully staffed. Which, as I just mentioned, is no guarantee. As Brian and Becky, who's in the back here, will tell you, that is far from a guarantee that we are fully staffed. Is one of our, it's kind of a miracle that we are at the moment, knock on wood. But adding more personnel only makes it more difficult to be fully staffed.
Can we can we bring Brian up here and ask him questions?
You certainly can, yes.
Yes.
I want to know what the staff recommend.
Yeah, that's what I want to know what you think,
Yeah.
Brian.
As far as the options themselves,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
from
if you-
my perspective,
Yeah.
options 1 and 2 are the options that I would definitely look at. Option 3, running a full-blown transfer station, I think that's getting outside of what we as a city want to provide. But 1 and 2, what we're here for is to provide trash service and dispose of that material. I'd say number 1 would be my favorite of those 2. But with the caveat, we have to go to waste management now. If in the long term, we lose that ability to go to waste management.
Right.
We'll be hauling the cans, and so that consolidation station looks much more attractive.
One is, my concern with 1 is the wear and tear on these trucks.
Right.
What I will add, my major concern with option 1 is it kind of feels like just kicking the can down the road.
Yes.
And I think that city commissioners in your seats 5, 10 years from now are going to be having this exact same conversation again. I've kind of made it my point since I've gotten here at least that a lot of the issues we're facing today, especially in our infrastructure, are the result of people making that decision and just saying that's somebody else's problem and now it's our problem. And I want to avoid making that somebody else's problem, if that makes sense. So that would, option 1 is the easiest to implement. It would be the relatively, between option 1 and 2, the cheapest increase to the residents, which is certainly important, is that it would be the least burdensome upon them.
Right.
But I also think that it's really just delaying a decision that needs to be made now.
So what would you recommend?
I think option 2 is kind of a hybrid that, from an internal staff perspective, I would say option 2 is the best option. It does not significantly increase the burden on the resident, and it would, I think, be still relatively easy to manage. If you were talking about the optimal way this service should look, I would say option 3. Right, I mean, it is the most public facing, it provides the opportunities for our residents to dump trash while we also serve the transfer station. In some ways, it feels not right or not, I don't know the best way to put that. In some way, it feels like building a facility that only we as staff can use and the public does not have access to goes against my concept of providing a public service. Now, at the same time, we do say you can't enter our wastewater treatment facility for security reasons. You can't enter our police station for security reasons. So, I mean, it's not totally unheard of, but it is a public service, this trash, and in some ways, I think option 3 provides the service that maybe residents would want in trash. Now, at the same time, they may not want that at the cost of an extra, $3 a month to their bill, and I understand that. And I also understand Brian's concern about staffing such a facility. That would be an issue. So a long-winded way of saying, from an internal perspective, option 2 is probably, in my opinion, the best choice. But the future of the service, option 3 may be the best choice.
Could we have like, because I would love to get not only your guys' opinion, the staff, but even the community, like, is $3 too much, but you get this, this, and this? I mean, could we have like I hate to call it a town hall, but something to present like you did tonight to the community to come and listen to and get feedback? I don't know, I just feel like, with you, I like the future transfer station makes the most sense to me, but obviously there's the cons, but I think option 2 it checks all these boxes right here that, so for me, I'm between 2 and 3.
I agree, and I think,
Yeah, go ahead, Nancy.
okay, yeah, in going through this, I think, option 2, looks like the least expensive, and also as far as our staffing, doesn't have them out on the road all the time, and I really like that idea. I can't imagine staff going and waiting for 2 or 3 hours a day, it's just wrong. No wonder it's hard to keep people. But I think option 2 looks like the best option for us at this time. Option 3 obviously is more expensive and would take more staff, but for us, for now, I think option 2 looks like a really good plan, using our own land to build a station on. That's all.
And I did just think of this. I guess there could be an option sort of 2.5 where you proceed with option 2 for now, and then you put a plan, you could have a long-range plan in place to eventually move to option 3, because you'd be using.
Yeah.
I really honestly think if
I get you.
I don't know, if we upgrade our services by having a transfer station and we're potentially bringing in revenue, and I know I'm saying it again, broken record, but if we do offer that curbside recycling and what we can do, I think people would go for the option 3, would be fine with it, but
With the additional $3 per month.
if they're getting more out of it, right?
Gotcha. I see what you're saying.
But if it's not gonna make a big difference, then option 2,
But I'm gonna have a different trucks for the curbside recycling.
yeah,
I mean, I can't throw it in the same truck.
true,
I mean, there's more costs associated with that.
right,
More staff.
more staff.
And I look at you, I mean, I got the county transfer station sitting right there. Leavenworth residents are residents of Leavenworth County.
Trained to go there.
And so, I mean, we have that service right there.
Fair.
And so there's a full-blown transfer station right
Yeah.
there. And I'm just throwing that out.
Then I'm probably 2.5,
Yeah,
plan for the future.
Okay.
but open to town hall.
Yeah, I think we
Feedback
need to
from
get
the-
feedback from the
Yeah, I
community,
think that'd be important as well.
especially if we're gonna go up, cost them more money. What do you think, Ed?
Be easier to do a poll than
Oh,
a town
yeah,
hall.
that's right. We could do like
You
a,
might get better response from a poll than
Oh,
a town
yeah.
hall too.
Yeah, because people don't come out.
Not that I'm I am not big on polling every darn thing we have to decide.
I know what you mean, you gotta meet the
no, but
people
just
where they
getting,
are.
it's the way you get input. It's-
Yeah, and, anybody watching this,
Let
write a
us
letter
know.
to the editor, and that's input.
Right, or
If they
reach
don't
out to-
care, they won't write a letter.
What do you think, Ed? Which option do you like? I don't put you on the spot, you can just say, don't,
I like 2, and I like the idea of the 2.5.
yeah,
2.5, 3.
But that's a lot of money.
yeah.
Yes.
It's a lot of money.
And there's likely potential for grants, I think, especially if you were to introduce some kind of recycling service in there.
Write grants?
Talking our language. There you go.
Can you write grants?
You can't buy them, but you can get them,
No, I
right?
said, can you
Write
write
them.
grants?
Can I write them?
I bet he can, Trevor can do it.
I bet I could try.
He's being modest.
Well, stay tuned for budget conversations.
Yeah. I think it was I thought this was really great, Trevor, how you, like if you look at the area on option 4, but if you're looking all around, I mean, Lansing's
Option
paying
four is nothing.
$19, Pacers $26, Tongi's 20. I mean, it's all over the place. Manhattan 29. And those are kind of the same size city.
Yeah, so what I did for that was, I tried to look at like every city in the surrounding counties, and then I really just looked at like every city in Kansas that was around 20 to 50,000 people.
Atchison's got it going on with trash. They have 2 transfer stations, and they only pay $13.99.
They pay
Recycling.
that
And they probably
countywide
have
sales
recycling. And they
tax.
have bi-weekly recycling.
So as Trevor mentioned, they have a countywide sales tax that covers that subsidizes that.
So it's automatic.
Wow. We should do an Atchison field trip. Find out about their trash.
Does Emporia have a citywide, a sales tax also?
I don't
Oh.
believe so.
And recycling.
How does Emporia manage to do that for only $17 a month?
I think it's because it's its own little island, kind of, you know? Like, I'm not even sure what county Emporia is in actually, but
in Lyon County.
in Lyon County, there's not a whole lot around it, and so I think
Right, we're
they
the only
get
ones that don't
all
have
those other cities.
recycling. This is
We-
good data.
Yep.
You did well on this. The average is 20, yeah.
So, and with some of the cities in the privately contracted one, those were where I have little notes, that was like open market models. So I kind of just took the average of what I saw from what the 4, 5, or 6 different solid waste companies charge.
Derby, $13.
So
But no
it's-
recycling.
So it sounds like we have a general consensus of proceeding with option 2. From a budgeting perspective, proceeding with option 2 for the next few years, and then looking into maybe finding a long-range planning to see if option 3 is feasible, and if so, what that would look like in the future. Yeah, option 2.5, right. I'm just talking from a budgeting perspective, assuming the costs of option 2. We would be happy to put a public information space together. We may not have, we'd be happy to do a public forum and a survey. We can do both.
We can, let's do it all because
but-
different people see things and learn things differently.
I'm just saying, we may not have that assembled and the results together by the time our budget has to be approved. So, you get where I'm coming up with that, like, so we may not have the community results by the time you need to make a final decision.
So what about on the survey? You think we have that done before the budget?
We can try. Usually you account for about 30 days for a survey anyways. That puts you at near the end of July.
So I would say to note with options 2 and 3, we would estimate that option 2 would probably, it wouldn't actually happen until 2027, just in terms of like building the site and everything up. And so option 3 would probably take an extra year just through the permitting processes that a transfer station would require.
But we have to have it in this year's budget.
Next year's budget. We
Next
could account, keep in mind, we are
Next
accounting
year's.
for a cost increase in next year's budget. If we are not ready for that, then we won't increase the cost. But
So options 1 and 4 they're kind of up to discretion to happen at any point, right? So if we were to just privatize completely, that could start whenever. So I think in terms of budgeting for this next or upcoming year, it would kind of be based on the feedback that we received tonight.
Got it. But I think you could still throw you already have the slides. You just need to, we have a building, just advertise it, they'll come, maybe, hopefully. And then, you can always we can always get you with I don't know, I just feel like we need a little community input, I feel like.
Yeah, and each one of us commissioners just use our platforms. We have individuals that supported us, just reach out to them, to our constituents.
Yeah.
Let them know, we need feedback immediately.
But as, for me, 2.5.
okay. So we will proceed with that path, and then we will start planning our community engagement and keep you up to speed on that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it, great job.
Yeah, good
To
job.
avoid doing what you were talking about earlier, kicking the can down the road and leaving somebody else with the mess to clean up, not that we've had a mess to clean up. But, I would go 2.5 right off the bat.
Okay.
That way, you
Yeah.
know, it's already planning for the future.
Yeah, we'll certainly start the planning process. I just,
If we
Good
can
people
afford
say.
it.
I think the planning, in terms of the overall scope of things, a plan itself is relatively cheap, right? And so, that's kind of where I was coming from with that.
Executing is where
Yeah.
you need the money.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Trevor, incredible job. You did a great job.
Trevor, I just wanted to say thank you for a good presentation. You gave us all the information that we really needed, so I appreciate that.
Cool. Well, if there's anything else I can provide, please let me know.
Now, if this doesn't work out, we're just gonna have the constituents reach out to you.
All right.
You can answer all the questions.
All right, that's all we have for you guys tonight.
Do you have anything else to add?
Actually, one thing, I just want to clarify, in case anybody from our friends at the City of Lansing may end up watching this someday. When we were talking about the options for that site is in the city of Leavenworth. Technically, it's in the Leavenworth city limits, but it's surrounded by Lansing. It uses a Lansing road. We certainly we plan on being good community partners with the city of Lansing and reaching out to them and getting them involved in this process as well, so they know what our plan is. I don't want anybody to think that we're making these decisions without coordinating with our community partners. But in terms of updates for you all, no, I had a good trip and I'm back, so reach out to me if you need anything, and that's all I got.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Do you have anything?
I missed the Juneteenth celebration. I was down in Branson.
I heard you went to go watch a play.
I went to go see David at the Sight and Sound Theater. I highly recommend it.
That's good.
It's always, if you've never been there, it's worth the trip. I mean, we went down and had a great time, of course, but then went to that. And it's always impressive. Whatever they do is always impressive and leaves you with something to think about. So I did miss the Juneteenth celebration, but from what I've heard and from what I've seen in the newspaper, it was a grand time to be had by all, and I congratulate everybody who worked hard to put it together.
Yep, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, Juneteenth was amazing, so be tuned. On Juneteenth, I'm actually gonna be releasing a video. I'll be featured our city clerk, Miss Sarah, two-stepping. It was a great time, it was amazing, but I thank you for all that participated, helped put the event on. It was a tremendous blessing. Shout out to NAACP and all the other sponsors and community leaders that helped us.
Now, who are you using to distribute the video that you're gonna do? Is
I-
that gonna
My
be
social media
Paramount
platform.
or MGM?
I'm just gonna make it.
Yeah,
I'm
he's just
making it.
feel like a TikTok or
But
something.
it was great, it was great, it was fun.
It,
Had a lot of fun.
it was a good time,
Yeah.
and it was really, I got to be the Grand Marshal, so I thank you for them to allow me to do that and ask me to be that. It was quite an honor. But Jermaine climbed to the top of the fire truck.
You mean the ladder?
Yes.
When the ladder was over?
No, the ladder was not up, but
Oh.
that was fun to observe. But no, it was fun to see. There were so many booths and so many people and so much good food, and people were dancing and just having great music. It was a really nice community event. So congratulations for everyone that put that on. But with that, I guess we'll see. Oh,
Nancy, do you have anything?
Oh,
You forgot about me.
never.
No,
see her.
Thursday is the Juneteenth anniversary, and everybody, enjoy the day, the celebration
And we are
of our
closed.
freedom.
It's close.
And that's all I have tonight. Thank you all for
God
coming
bless.
me on the phone.
Hope you feel better, Nancy.
All right.
Thanks.
I'm hanging up on you.
All right, our meeting's adjourned.
That was good.